The Debaters is created by Richard Side. This week's episode was produced by Nicole Callender, Chloe Edbrook, Dean Jenkinson, and Graham Clark. With continuity by Graham Clark, Diana Francis, and Gary Jones. Technical production by James Perella and Conrad Hijazi. Story editing by Gary Jones. With special thanks to Katie Ellen Humphreys and David Pride. Executive producer of CBC Radio Comedy is Lee Pitts. And thanks to everyone at the Meridian Theatres in Ottawa.
This is CBC Radio 1, 990 AM, 89.3 FM in Winnipeg.
Breaking this hour,
CBC News brings you all the local, national, and international news you need to make sense of your world.
I've ripped up the supply and confidence agreement.
Now's your chance to enjoy a free preview of Canada's source for breaking and live news.
The air raid sirens went off.
Find out why more Canadians choose CBC News Network over any other Canadian news channel. The CBC News Network free preview, on now.
You know the feeling of finding a really good podcast? Or the feeling of someone always being there, like your favorite radio show? Stream CBC Podcasts, CBC Music, and CBC Radio anytime, anywhere. Download the CBC Listen.
This is CBC News. At 12 o'clock, we're at 6 degrees with blue skies over downtown Winnipeg. Good afternoon, I'm Matt Humphrey. A Manitoba immigration lawyer worries what cuts to the federal immigration program next year will mean for our province. Ottawa says next year it'll drop the number of new permanent residents from 485,000 to 395,000. Winnipeg lawyer Reese Pagdican wants details on how the change will affect provincial nominee programs. He says the number of provincial nominees across the country is expected to drop from 110,000 to 55,000.
When you drop the number of provincial nominees nationally by over 50%, the question is, how many provincial nominees is Manitoba still going to get? They get 9,500 a year so far. Is that number going to drop? Is Manitoba going to stay the same and they're going to drop other provinces?
Pagdican hopes talks between Manitoba and the federal government will mean this province could see more newcomers. In the United States,
I'm heading to do something that should have been done a long time ago. Make a formal apology to the Indian nation for the way we treated their children for so many years.
President Joe Biden speaking before flying to Arizona to deliver an apology to Native Americans for the residential school system in his country. Thousands of Indigenous children were taken from their families and forced to attend boarding schools where they endured physical, sexual, and psychological abuse. The American schools operated from the early 1800s to the 1960s. In 2008, Canada formally apologized for the residential school abuses in our country. Lebanon's prime minister calls the killing of journalists in the country's south a war crime. An Israeli strike in Hezbollah killed 3 people and injured at least 3 others. Lebanon accuses Israel of deliberately targeting them in an effort to intimidate the media. Crystal Gomansing explains.
Hassan Hati explains he was sleeping on his left side when something very heavy suddenly fell on him. The journalist was pinned down, but he was rescued and taken to hospital. Other members of the media were not so fortunate. The Al Mayadeen network says one of its cameramen and engineers died as a result of the strike. Al Manar TV says one of its camera operators was killed. The Committee to Protect Journalists issued a statement saying deliberately targeting journalists is a war crime under international law and called for an independent investigation. The reason for the strike is unknown. Israeli officials have not commented. It comes as U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken pushes for a diplomatic resolution in Lebanon.
I think this is a moment of importance and urgency.
Wider ceasefire talks are set for Sunday. Crystal Gamansing, CBC News, London.
And there are now reports the world's richest man, Elon Musk, has spent the past 2 years having regular discussions with Russian President Vladimir Putin. The allegations from the Wall Street Journal come as Musk becomes a prominent member of Donald Trump's presidential election campaign. Don McVelitis has your details.
The paper claims the discussions touched on a range of subjects, including personal issues, business and geopolitical tensions. On one occasion, it's claimed Putin asked Musk to avoid switching on his Starlink satellite internet service over Taiwan as a favour to China's Xi Jinping. Musk has emerged as a crucial Trump supporter who has deep business ties with US military and intelligence agencies. And given Putin's role as one of America's top adversaries, the newspaper claims its revelations have raised potential national security concerns at the White House. Musk hasn't responded to today's report, but has previously slammed criticism he's an apologist for Putin. Dominic Velitis for CBC News, Riga, Latvia.
Today, a U.S. judge approved a $102 million settlement with the companies owning a cargo ship which crashed into a Baltimore bridge. The collision caused the bridge to collapse and killed 6 people. The U.S. Justice Department sued 2 Singapore companies for the costs of the cleanup. Neither admitted guilt under the terms of the settlement. The deadly E. coli outbreak linked to McDonald's in the United States has expanded. Health officials say 75 people in 13 states have now become sick, 22 required hospitalization, and 1 person died. No source has been conclusively identified, but officials are focusing on onion slices used on burgers, specifically on the quarter pounders. There have been no cases reported in Canada. And if you're searching your closet to get ready for the colder weather, Coats for Kids says it'll take your used clothing. United Way collects outerwear for children who may not have jackets or snow pants. Melissa Burgess with the United Way says their shelves are bare, and the biggest need is for children's sizes 6 to 8.
At that age, kids tend to be playing on their knees a lot. They get holes in their ski pants, the zippers break, and they're not really in good condition to be donated. And so if you have some, if there's even minor rips and tears, we have volunteers who will clean those up and get them ready.
Burgess says they also need adult coats in sizes large and extra large. They don't have to be cleaned before donation, she says. She says a number of local hotels will wash the donations they receive. Taking a quick look at the forecast, Winnipeg mostly sunny today, a high around 10 degrees. Brandon, a high of 9 degrees and windy. Dauphin, sunny and breezy, a high of 9. Flin Flon, mainly sunny, a high of 6 degrees. Thompson, mainly sunny, and a high around +2. And up in Churchill, you're seeing partly cloudy conditions with a high around -1. Right now, you're listening to CBC Radio 1.
Hello and welcome to Radio Noon. I'm Laurie Hoogstraten. Looks like a nice day out there. Highs of 10 degrees, kind of sunny. A long fall into fall and winter. Coming up on the show today, it's Friday, and we want to know, do you have a favorite vinyl record? Maybe it's Fleetwood Mac's Rumours, or you have one of Taylor Swift's albums on vinyl, or a vintage Guess Who, or maybe something recently re-released on vinyl, a classic like Beach Boys' Pet Sounds. We want you to call us and tell us what your first ever album was and why you still love it today. That's our call-in conversation after the 12:30 news, 204-780-0893. It is 7 minutes after 12 o'clock. You're listening to Radio Noon. Manitoba communities are struggling with how to safely clean up used needles. The town of Swan River says more than 500,000 needles were handed out in 2023-24 by Prairie Mountain Health and Manitoba Harm Reduction. But the new challenge facing some residents is the cleanup, how to safely dispose of the discarded needles left behind by the users. Raina Badowski starts her day shoveling used needles from the front door of her dance studio. She spoke with the CBC's Chelsea Kemp.
Recently, we noticed that there is a lot of garbage, specifically needles and drug paraphernalia left in front of our doors and our vestibule.
How young are the kids who come here?
We have kids as young as age 3 attending dance classes, and their younger siblings also come with them while they're attending classes and wait outside the door. So there's really young kids as old as 18, 19 for my students that come here. I have to make sure that I come about 20 minutes or half an hour before the kids show up for class, because they're more often than not, are exposed needles right in front of my door. And yeah, I've got to somehow move them, but that's been a problem lately. First thing I do is I phone the primary care center in Swan and ask for the people that distribute the needles to come and pick them up, and they generally tell me that they don't have time to come and pick them up or that nobody's available. So I generally just have to scoop them away with a shovel and put a pail on top of them over somewhere where someone's mostly unlikely to step on them underneath a guardrail. We have to make sure that nobody has come while classes are on. I lock the door during class now. This is the first year I've had to tell parents that unless you have direct line of sight of your child leaving the dance school, that you need to come and pick them up. There's also a walkway between the buildings here, and I've advised the parents not to park on the other street because I don't want kids walking down that walkway, because there is most definitely needles down there.
When did you first start noticing it getting this rough?
Last year. Yeah, it was last year when, and it wasn't as bad as it is right now, but last year was the first year that we noticed needles being left. I'd like for the needles to go away, for someone to take responsibility to clean these things up. It seems like they're being handed out, but it's nobody's job to clean them up. And it would be nice if it was safe for everybody to be here, especially kids coming to dance class.
Raina Badowski is the owner of Swan River School of Dance in Swan River.
Our drug use trends have changed in the province, which will always happen. We'll have new drug use trends happening. And right now what we see is some of our communities are seeing an increase in injection drug use. Supply distribution access is looking different in different communities. So we want to respond to the needs of the community as a whole. And so when we think of communities like Swan River, we don't want any communities experiencing public drug use. We also don't want any communities experiencing publicly discarded needles. So in Swan River, as things have evolved over the last year, we really are focused on working with the community and key stakeholders and partners to address reducing both public drug use, but also reducing publicly discarded needles in the community.
And so what model do you usually turn to when it comes to cleanup of sharps?
Some communities, we have organizations that will have sharps disposal in their organization. So for example, at the Manitoba Harm Reduction Network, there's definitely sharps disposal there. We also provide sharps containers for people to take and use in their own spaces. In some communities, there will be relationships with the RHA, and the RHAs will have sharps disposal in various sites. There might be a large needle disposal box in the community, or a couple of them, but there also might be some in bathrooms. And also pharmacies often play a role in disposing of discarded needles. So really important that substance use is one way that we see needles being used, but there's lots of ways that needles are being used. So all of our communities need a robust program to support needle disposal, safe needle disposal in their communities.
Do you know why this conversation has just had the temperature turned up so much in Swan River?
There has been an increase in folks who are impacted by homelessness in Swan River, which has been identified over the last few months. And when there's an increase in folks being impacted by homelessness, then there potentially is an increase for public drug use, which when there's public drug use, that's where we start to see publicly discarded needles. And so as reflected in the comments that folks have been sharing, in the last year, we've seen a significant increase in the number of people who are homeless. And so we want to really focus on how do we address public drug use and how do we address publicly discarded needles to reduce both of those things happening in that community. Just like we want to make sure that's the case in all of our communities, we want to address that. So
what's a healthy way to go about those conversations? Because it seems like there's a deep divide in the Swan River, Swan Valley area right now.
Yeah, and I think to have good conversations around it, there has to be some common goals around the issue. And I think we need to lead with kindness to make sure that our relatives who are most impacted are not further stigmatized in our communities. And I think it's really about making sure that all the stakeholders are together at the table, really focused on that common goal, which in this case is reducing cases of publicly discarded needles.
From what you've seen, what's kind of the best way for sharp cleanup in smaller communities?
Again, there's lots of different models out there. We have models where in areas where there are a lot of publicly discarded needles, communities have put needle drop boxes right there and worked with either the town or the RHA or a community-based organization to empty out and maintain those boxes. We've also seen boxes being put on hydro poles in communities to encourage publicly discarded needles. And in this case, we are actually just going to be launching a program where we provide people with small, discrete needle disposal containers, particularly those who are using substances publicly or discarding of their needles publicly, so that we can encourage them and see if folks will reduce the publicly discarded needles. So we are going to launch little black boxes that they will get. They will carry, and they're little tiny ones that could fit into a backpack. Because what we hear, Chelsea, is that the yellow sharps containers are a really visible indicator of what folks are carrying. And so the discrete, and don't necessarily fit nicely in a backpack. And if you are impacted by homelessness, you might have a backpack, right, to carry your belongings in. And so we want to be able to provide smaller, discrete ones and see if that does also encourage folks to dispose of their needles more safely.
Shahan Ilsley is the executive director of Manitoba's Harm Reduction Network. She was in conversation with the CBC's Chelsea Kemp. And you can read more about this story on our website, cbc.ca/Manitoba.
Your neighborhood, your community, your country, your world, your news that matters, news that belongs to you. Your World Tonight, every night, 7 days a week on CBC Radio 1, on demand on the CBC Listen app, and everywhere you get your podcasts.
You're listening to Radio Noon at 16 minutes after 12 o'clock. I want to let you know that coming up on our call-in portion of the show at 12:35, we want to hear about your favorite vinyl. Do you have a favorite vinyl record? Maybe Fleetwood Mac's Rumors or one of Taylor Swift's albums on vinyl. And we want to have you call in, tell us all about it, why you love it, why you bought it, when you bought it, maybe with your, allowance or something when you were a wee child, or maybe you bought it online last week. We are going to be talking with the owner of a new record shop that opened this week. So give us a call at 204-780-0893, or you can text at 204-588-7355. And let's take a look at the forecast. What does Riley have to say? Riley says another pleasant day ahead for most of Manitoba. A couple of lingering flurries for the Hudson Bay coast and breezy in the Red River Valley again. I noticed at the airport it's really quite windy. Let's see, 28 west-northwest. And some, mostly sunny today, highs of 10. Saturday, 10 as well. It's going to stay nice. Sunday, 13 is the high. Monday, 15 is the high. Barely getting below zero even at night. Some temperatures for you. Brandon is 2. Churchill is -2. Dauphin is 4. Gimli 6. In the Paw, it's 2. Thompson is 1. In Winnipeg, it's 6. As I say, winds out of the west-northwest at 28. AgX is Manitoba's biggest livestock show. This weekend there's Moo Mania, Ewe Mania, and more than 500 head of cattle on show. For Megan Kemp, it's a family affair. She spoke with the CBC's Chelsea Kemp.
Well, both me and my husband, we both came through the junior program and were involved with cattle. I got to go show cattle across Western Canada and into the U.S. As a kid and a youth, and then just the experiences I had out of it and the friends and the network I've met from across Western Canada kind of, you know what I mean, wants my kids to bring them up. My daughter's only 7, and I think she's been to a junior show in 2 provinces and been showing since she was 4. So this, you know, everyone loves coming to Brandon because it's just such a small show, and it's a family show, and lots of family crews all working together and helping each other. And, you know, we're kind of one big show cattle family, and we all get together. And this is kind of our winter holiday that involves showing cattle.
How did she end up doing Moo Mania for the kids?
So my husband is actually the barn boss here. He's been doing Moo Mania, but he loves coming to share the farm life with the kids in the city. Paisley's had friends that go to school in Brandon that she's seen come through the program last year. So they enjoy going to share a little bit of our life with the kids in the city that don't sometimes get to experience that.
What was it like for you seeing her teach others just about farm life?
You know, there was about 4 of them that were pretty excited to, you know, share their experience, and you kind of captivate the kids, you know, similar to their age, and see what they're doing. So, yeah, it was very good.
Do you get a sense of pride just about how much she loves cattle and cows?
Yeah, you know, it's a family event. She's basically helped me all fall getting our whole show string ready. She's in the barn with me every night. So is my son. And, you know, it's a family atmosphere. You know, that's our activity in the evening. We go down and work with the show cattle. And, you know, there's a lot of pride and joy in building up to see what you can bring to town, and, you know, having the pride in those animals and seeing them progress. You know, it's a ongoing cycle, and I think there's a lot of pride and joy in coming to share your genetics and your operations progression with other breeders across Western Canada, as well as the many commercial breeders that are here. So this is kind of your opportunity to showcase your business.
It seems like it's a real showcase, both of family and just of, you know, agriculture.
Yeah. And, you know, seeing the growth in, you know, the people who are passionate about this industry and kind of how they've grown throughout the industry, and see them grow up with the program. And, you know, we both, you know, I came from a little bit of a commercial operation. My husband came from a commercial operation. And for us to be able to build our own purebred herd takes a lot of time and dedication. But you know what I mean, being able to show that to our kids in the future, where they've come from a family operation and this is what we've put into it, is kind of exciting. And you know what I mean, that's what's gonna keep the beef industry alive, is, you know, that next generation showing, you know, how sustainable and how well we look after these animals on the farm. And, you know, the beef is a good food group and is safe for the consumer and a good health wise. So that's a big thing for us to share with that generation, to share with the growing urban population. And this is their way to not only showcase them to breeders that come, as well as other people that come through.
That was Megan Kemp. Meanwhile, her daughter, 7-year-old Paisley Barron, is also at the X showing cattle.
It's kind of like everything that I've really imagined.
What are you doing while you're here at the Keystone?
Showing cows.
How many cows are you going to show?
5.
5? How do you learn how to show them? Did you learn from your mom?
Yeah, and my dad.
And your dad? So what did you do today?
We did the open show with my heifer Mabel.
How did Mabel do?
Good.
And did you get to do stuff like, did you do Moo Mania or You Mania? What was it like? Wait, did you get to teach the kids?
Yeah.
What did you teach them?
Kind of about like all the animals and about them and her name and how to take care of them and how you can tell them apart.
Did they get to pet your cow at all?
Yeah.
What's it like getting to show her off to like your friends and stuff?
Good.
What makes you most proud of her?
Probably about winning.
What's a day look like for you when you're working on the farm?
Busy. We would normally start by washing them, then blowing, and then feeding, and then probably show.
What's your favorite thing to tell people about your cows?
How I got my first cow, Maimu. I won her when I was only about a month, 2. Yeah, a raffle at this show.
What is it about cows that you love?
I love how you can be around them, you can love them, you can be how you want.
Do you want other people to love them as much as you do?
Yeah.
What did you tell people like the kids when they were coming by to meet your cows? What did you tell them about them that shows how special they are?
Their name, how you can tell them apart. Yeah.
Like, is this one of your favorite times of year?
Yeah.
How come?
Because there's a lot more shows than in the summer. Yeah. And I also get to hang out with my friends.
Are your friends human and cows?
Yeah.
That was 7-year-old Paisley Barron and her heifer Mabel post Moo Mania at the AgX in Brandon. It runs till Sunday.
New this month on CBC Gem, 2 of Canada's longest-running shows are back for their 18th seasons.
You're going to be introduced to a new world.
Murdoch Mysteries brings more intrigue and invention as Detective Murdoch faces new challenges.
I would say it's extremely bad form to arrest your new boss.
And over at Heartland, life on the ranch rolls along at a more relaxed pace.
Looks like Stetson's back to his old self.
Season 18 of Murdoch Mysteries and Heartland. Watch free on CBC Gem.
You're listening to Radio Noon. It's just coming up to 25 minutes after 12 o'clock. Manitoba's Kendra Kay just released her new EP. Kendra says the theme for this latest project is Feel Good Country. So from her new EP, here's Kendra Kay with Good Man.
The story ends. He's a loser and a liar. Got another on the other side of town. You're pretty as a picture. You're 11 out of 10. I gotta say it's quite a shame to see you settle in. For the ones that always disappoint, the boys that never seem to stick around.
Kendra Kay with Good Man. You're listening to Radio Noon. I'm Laurie Hoog-Stratton. Céline Understood is a new series from CBC Podcasts that delves into the life and career of vocal superstar Céline Dion. In this 4-part series, cultural commentator Thomas Leblanc explores the cultural, political, and business alchemy that created one of the most enduring superstars of our time. This week's episode dives into the history of Céline's business and romantic relationship with her manager, Renee Angelil.
Renee was always very strategic.
Most of the time, he was bang on with what needed to be done with Celine's career. You know, if it came to planning a tour, recording a song that maybe someone else didn't believe in, convincing Celine to record or perform a song. I saw those moments where they didn't always agree on the material. And it was always fun to see him say, no, you got to trust me. I know this is going to work. This is going to work.
Throughout the 90s, Renee would use their unlimited recording budget to hire a stable of powerhouse songwriters and producers that catered to Celine's sweeping romantic style. Rather than following any of the musical trends du jour, she sticks with these classic soaring ballads with catchy hooks and melodies that show off her impressive vocal range. You hear just a few notes of these songs, and you know it's Celine. Like Because You Loved Me, with its timeless melody. Or It's All Coming Back to Me Now, with its legendary key changes. Or All By Myself, where she hits the career-defining note. Celine and Renee would build a musical brand. And that brand was Epic Love.
That was a clip from the new CBC podcast, Céline Understood. And you can find it now wherever you get your podcasts. Remember to call in and tell us what is your very favorite vinyl record. When you got it, why you love it. Do you still love vinyl? It's on its way back. Give us a call, 204-780-0893 after the news, which is next.
This is CBC News. At 12:30, we're at 7 degrees, blue skies over downtown Winnipeg. Good afternoon, I'm Matt Humphrey. Federal cuts to the number of immigrants coming to Canada is raising questions and concerns for one Manitoba immigration lawyer. Next year, the number of immigrants coming to Canada will drop from 485,000 to 395,000, and the number of people in the provincial nominee program will be slashed in half. Reese Patagan says that, compounded with changes to the cap on international students, could hurt Canada's reputation across the world.
And if we destroy the brand because we don't communicate what Canada wants, or we communicate it in such a haphazard way, then we run the risk of people, years later going, you know what, I don't want to come to this country. I would rather go to Australia, or I'd rather go to New Zealand.
Back to Can says he is encouraged the federal immigration minister will work with provinces like Manitoba who need more immigrants. But he'd like more details on the actual number of people who will be allowed into the province. Today is World Dwarfism Awareness Day, and the president of Little People of Manitoba wants more than awareness. Samantha Rayburn-Tribick wants a meeting with the health minister and premier. She says her organization wants a skeletal dysplasia clinic. Rayburn-Tribick all says they have 400 different types of skeletal dysplasia. There are 400 different types, and dwarfism falls into that category.
Right now, we either have to go to the States for specialists, or you go to Toronto, or you go to Vancouver. And here in Manitoba, Winnipeg specifically services Northwest Ontario, services Saskatchewan, services Northwest Territory. So there's a huge community that could benefit from this.
Rayburn-Tribick says they have a philanthropist arranged for funding and doctors ready to go, but she says her meetings with the province keep getting put off. And finally, it may not be wintry weather just yet, but Coats for Kids is looking for donations to help children and their families get outfitted for winter. The United Way collects the outwear every year. Melissa Burgess is the senior manager of engagement initiatives. She says donations of coats and snow pants are always welcome, but they also need other items.
Good quality mittens that will keep your fingers warm on those really cold days. We are needing those for everyone from, little ones to adults as well. We try to ensure that when we're giving out coats and ski pants, that we're equipping them with everything that they may need to stay warm.
Burgess says right now their biggest need is for children's sizes 6 to 8 and adult sizes large and extra large. She adds they have a team ready if any items need minor repairs, and they don't necessarily have to be clean when they're donated. She says there are agreements in place with various hotels who will clean the clothes. And that's your CBC News from Winnipeg.
Thank you very much, Matt. But listen, before you go, I don't know if you heard, we are talking vinyl today.
Yes.
Old, new. Now you're just a wee young lad. Did you ever own any vinyl yourself? Do you have any?
Fortunately, no.
No.
Well, I missed the age of vinyl,
Uh-huh.
and I'm just not cool enough to get into it now.
Oh, so do you have even a CD? We'll let you have a CD.
Oh, you will?
Yeah. Which one would you say?
I mean, there was my first CD ever.
That's what we're going for first.
Yeah. Appetite for Destruction.
Okay.
Guns N' Roses.
Oh, yeah.
Sweet Child of Mine.
Why am I not surprised to hear
Welcome to the Jungle.
that? Welcome to the jungle. Okay, Matt, you had no vinyl, but
No,
we
I'm
let you have the
sorry.
CD.
I hear the sound is so much better.
Yeah, I have heard that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to ask Riley, too, our weather specialist who's just walked in, also a wee young lad, but I'm going to see if he had any vinyl, too.
No vinyl for me.
Okay, thank you, Matt.
Soon.
All right. No vinyl for you either?
No.
Did your parents have vinyl? Did your grandparents have vinyl?
Probably.
Brought it over in the Ark, did they?
My first CD was probably Shania Twain, though.
Really?
Yes.
And we were just playing a little of Shania. Oh, no, that was Celine. Wait a minute.
I used to sing Shania Twain when I was 5 years old.
Good for you.
Yeah.
All right.
She was very popular in our house.
Okay. Shania, well, would you like to just sing a bit of the weather to us? What's going on with that?
Very pleasant fall day today, Lori. A bit breezy, but nothing we can't handle. 8 degrees in Winnipeg right now. Portage, Morden, Sprague also at 8 degrees. Brandon's at 5. Thompson at the moment -2. High pressure keeping us nice and sunny for the most part. A little bit of thin high level cloud across parts of northwestern and into eastern parts of the province. Other than that, we're under a mainly sunny sky, and this is what you see is what you get for the rest of the day today and into the day on Saturdays. Mainly sunny skies. Not a lot to talk about as we head into the weekend aside from the sunshine. Maybe a bit of cloud here and there, but I'm calling it a mix of sun and clouds as we head through Saturday into Sunday and into Monday. Yeah, we'll talk about that in your long-range forecast.
Okay.
Looking at a high of 10 degrees in Winnipeg today. Portage, Brandon, Morden also looking at 10s. 11 in Melita, 3 in Thompson, 0 in Churchill today. 10 degrees in Winnipeg for Saturday, 13 for Sunday. I've got us up to 15, a bit breezy on Monday once again. And then temperatures fall back to more seasonal 8s and 7s as we get into next week. And I will let you know, I know sort of long range at the moment, but next Thursday, Halloween, mainly cloudy skies. Looks like we've got a slim chance we could see some flurries in the morning.
Oh, so you got to put the parka on over the costume?
Well, we're looking at single-digit temperatures, so by the time trick-or-treating rolls around, we will probably be close to freezing.
As will the children if they don't put on their parkas.
I will keep you up to date on that as we get into the next week here.
We'll be watching closely.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks a lot, Riley.
Have a great weekend.
You too. That's weather specialist Riley Lachek. And of course, you can hear him later this afternoon on Up to Speed and on TV on the CBC News at 6. As I mentioned, we are going to be talking vinyl and Do You Love It? And do you remember this 80s Clash hit? Ah, yes, The Clash. Winnipegger Peter Dool remembers it well. It's the first vinyl he purchased a few decades ago with his own money, and now he's the owner of 2 vinyl record stores, including one that opened just last week on Portage Avenue. Now, in this digital age, it might seem counterintuitive to invest in the record business, but for Dool, it's a labor of love, and retro vinyl records have made an impressive comeback in recent years. Peter Dool joins me now. Hello.
Hello there.
And we've just heard about the first record that Peter bought. Now, we want to hear from you. What was the first record you ever purchased? And what do you love about that record to this day? Maybe you bought it 50 years ago with your allowance or last week online. Tell us about your first or your fave vinyl record. Give us a call, 204-780-0893, or you can text us at 204-588-7355. Hello, Peter. After that intro, I'll say hello again. It was kind of long.
Oh, that was wonderful. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me here.
So listen, you just opened your second location of Dooley Records last week. How's it going?
It's going fantastic. It's wonderful. Just last Tuesday was our grand opening, and what a great turnout. A lot of new faces and a lot of regular customers, and it's been fantastic.
Yeah, well, the new location, what used to be a record store, so after it closed down, you just moved on in and changed things around?
Well, initially what happened was I had planned on just just buying all of the inventory to carry it over to my other shop. And then I sort of just, the space grew on me and I realized this feels right. I'm going to stay. So I jumped on it.
Yeah. And you love vinyl, obviously.
I love music in general, but vinyl has been really a big part of my life for quite some time. Yeah.
Oh, great. Well, I think a lot of our listeners love vinyl as well. And we're going to get people to give us a call, 204-780-0893. 204-780-0893. And I think we can just go straight to the phone lines. People already want to talk vinyl.
Perhaps they'd like to talk to me. I'll do my best as I can.
We've got Deborah. Hi, Deborah.
Hi, Lori.
And what's your favorite vinyl?
Well, I have sort of a classic recording that was produced in Winnipeg by a group of women who wanted to invest in 3 women songwriters who probably wouldn't have the chance to record.
Oh.
So this was in 1986. It was a group called the Same Damn Bunch, really political group, mostly women, some honorary men. And they did a whole lot of projects. And one of these projects was an album called Prairie Spirits, released in 1986. And the 3 songwriters are Karen Howell, Barbara Spence, and myself.
Oh.
And I'm so pleased. It was produced by Dan Donahue and Heather Bishop. And I'm so pleased because on this CD, Wally Larson does some saxophone.
Right.
And on a project, which is not vinyl, that I just released this month, he also does saxophone there. So it was a nice circle.
Oh, wow.
But this project is really outstanding. And I'm so happy that one of the SDBs, Bev Suick, is coming out to see me on Saturday with 3 unopened copies.
Well, that's a fantastic, and thanks for dropping all those iconic Manitoba music names. Thanks very much, Deb. And now the lines are just lit up, but I just quickly want to ask you, what is it that you love about vinyl? I mean, Matt said sort of jokingly, the sound is better, but I think maybe the sound is better.
I think it's actually the whole ritual involved in unwrapping the record, the whole process of putting it on the turntable, and looking at the artwork and reading the liner notes, and sitting in your favorite chair, and I think it's all that's associated with. It's just not background noise. It's a whole part of a process.
Well, I think you have a lot of company. Brenda, good afternoon. Hello, Brenda.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, I'm here. Yeah.
Good. Okay, what's your favorite vinyl?
I think when I was 15 years old, I bought Pink Floyd, The Dark Side of the Moon.
Oh, yeah.
I think that was my first.
Yeah, that's a game changer for quite a few people. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I love vinyl. I had a lot of it.
Yeah.
But I slowly sort of went to CDs, but now I bought a turntable, so I'm looking to collect more vinyl. And what is the name of your shop?
My shop is Dooley Records. That's D-U-L-Y. And you can follow me on Instagram or Facebook. And I'm at 557 Portage Avenue, right next door to the CBC here.
And of course, you know where that is.
Yes, of course.
Of course.
Yeah, Dooley Records. Okay.
Well, maybe have you got a copy of Dark Side of the Moon?
No, I don't. I do have one in stock for sale, and there's so many different variants of that record. It ranges in price depending on if the inserts are inside or the original stickers and what year it was pressed in or what country it came from. So,
and did you buy your copy here?
Sorry,
Brenda. Yeah, did you buy your copy here?
No, I was in Halifax.
Oh, okay. Cutting edge at the time, though, right? Dark Side of the Moon.
Oh, yeah. And, I love the, even if it's like scratched a little, the crackly sound.
Yeah.
Adds
character.
And like he said, like laying back, looking or listening to the music and looking at the artwork. You can't do that on the CD. So, yeah.
Well, thanks very much for the call. Nice to hear from you.
Thank you.
And
Bye-bye.
we have a few lines open, 204-780-0893. But let's keep the conversation going. Lots of people probably wanting to ask Peter or tell us about their favorite vinyl. Is that Stan? Hello.
Hello.
What's your favorite vinyl?
Oh, my favorite vinyl is the first LP I ever bought and that is the soundtrack to the movie 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Oh, I just sold that record yesterday to a young kid.
Yeah.
A young 16-year-old boy was really happy about picking that record up.
I bet. My father took me to the premiere of that movie in 1970 or 1969, and a few years later, when I had the money, I went and just bought the LP.
Do you still listen to it?
Love. Oh yes.
Yeah.
Every time I hear the Blue Danube Waltz on the radio or whatever, I always think of
Ah.
and that buying that LP and it's very special to me.
Well, thanks very much for sharing that with us. Yeah,
Oh, you're welcome.
I know that album as well. And so you just sold it to a 16-year-old kid.
Yeah, actually, it was at the record show I was set up on Sunday at the Kubota Center, and there was a young fellow looking through my bargain discount bin. I was excited to find that record. So, yeah, it just changed hands.
Fantastic. Well, let's continue with the phone lines because I think there's lots of people wanting to tell us what they like in vinyl and when they bought it and what it was. Let's talk to Jane. Hi, Jane.
Hi. Great topic today,
Isn't
Lori.
it fun?
Thank you so much.
It's
Wonderful.
Friday.
My first ever 45, first vinyl I ever bought was Blues the Night by the Devrons, and I still have it.
That's another one that
Yes.
I just sold. And I also had a copy where I sold that 45 to, I believe, the niece of the founder of the Devrons. And even within their own family, they didn't have a copy of it.
Wow.
And it had her uncle's initials on the outer sleeve.
Wow, iconic.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
so I actually drove it to her house, delivered it, and the family was quite happy to receive it.
I guess. And you know, when that song is played, if it's not upgraded, those little squeaks or scratches make the record. You just can't beat vinyl. Thank you so much.
That's what Brenda was saying too. Thank you, Jane. Well, let's move on because we've got lots of people on the line, but we can take lots more. 204-780-0893. We have Alana on the line. Hello, Alana.
Hi, Lori. It's Alana Zaramba.
Oh, hi, Alana.
Hi. I want to talk about when we used to buy 78s.
Oh,
Now, I didn't, but I had
I was gonna say, come
four
on.
older siblings, and we were in love with a group called the Crew Cuts. And they're the ones that put out Shaboom, Shaboom, you know.
Oh,
that one.
so
And
that-
so they made that a big hit in the early 50s. Every time they had another song, my two older sisters, one or the other, would go down to, I think it was Eaton Through the Bay, and buy the 78 recording. And of course, with there was the A and the B side. And my brother, I think, still has most of those records down his basement.
Now 78, I'm asking Alana and I'm asking Peter, were they vinyl? Were they?
It was a
They were
heavy
really
shellac.
heavy
It was
stuff.
very
weren't
heavy
they?
shellac and very brittle. And I hate to break some of our listeners' hearts, but in the basement of the shop that I bought were thousands and thousands of 78s, but they were all cracked, damaged, and moldy, unsellable.
Ooh.
It was 3 large trips to the dump.
Wow.
And who knows what kind of history, what kind of collectability is gone, but that's what happened.
Well, Alana, do you still have a 78? Oh, I guess Alana's gone. We'll go to, let's talk to Janice. We're just powering through here.
Oh, this is great. This is
It is wonderful, yeah. Hey, Janice.
Hi. I'm holding in my hand my first album, which is Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
Oh, yeah.
And I was 12 years old, and I bought it with my babysitting money. And I still can remember my brother and I playing it on my parents' phonograph and thinking it was so cool we didn't have to we could listen to 6 songs in a row. We didn't have to flip the 45 over. And I just wanted to say the cool thing about albums is, like, people talk about the artwork, but it's also who produced it, who performed on it, who, the lyrics, everything. I explained to a younger person who got rid of everything. They just go on Spotify or whatever. And I said, you can't learn all that stuff. I mean, he said, oh, sure you can. So I said, well, try it. And he goes, oh, I guess it is kind of difficult. But we want to know who produced these, who played on it.
Sometimes you study those liner notes and then you jump down all kinds of other rabbit holes and you discover all kinds of new music. Yeah.
Yeah, that so-and-so is actually a songwriter, not only the drummer and those kinds of things
right.
as well.
That's
Yeah.
right. So anyway, so no, I still have it. And that was my very first album.
Oh, good for you. Well, thanks very much for calling, Janice.
Take care. Bye-bye.
You too. Well, we have Walter on line 3. Hi, Walter.
Hi.
Hi. What was your favorite piece of vinyl?
My favorite one is a Gordon Lightfoot vinyl, which I bought in the mid-'70s. It had the Edmund Fitzgerald on it.
Oh, yeah.
And my first one I ever bought, I think, was a Neil Diamond one. Probably in the mid-'70s also.
Gee.
There was a huge uptick of interest in Gordon Lightfoot once he passed. All of a sudden, young folks took an interest in Gordon Lightfoot, coming in and asking for Gordon Lightfoot records. So there's a...
Well, he was a good storyteller.
Oh, he sure was. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you still have those albums?
Yes, I do.
You do, eh? And still listening? Yeah?
Well, not listening. My turntable broke, but I'm really tempted to get it fixed.
Yeah, well, this will inspire you, right? Listening to
Yes, it will.
how much everybody loves their vinyl. Well, thank you very much for calling.
You're welcome.
You're listening to Radio Noon, and we are talking to Peter Duell, record expert, vinyl shop owner, and we're really enjoying your calls. Give us a call now at 204-780-0893. Now, you're wondering, we all bought vinyl and knew how it all worked and so on. But there's another generation, I think. What is the demographic now at your stores? Is it kind of everybody, or you were saying a 16-year-old or 2001?
Yeah, it's been interesting because, like, for the last 5 years, it's generally been young 18, 19, 20-year-olds and 60-year-old men. But in the last, I'd say last 6 months, it's the middle gap is starting to fill in. And I'm getting folks from all walks of life, all different tastes in music. And I'm noticing like a lot of 19, 20-year-old kids are inheriting their parents' record collections. And they come in with encyclopedic knowledges of music from the 80s and the 60s and the 70s. And it's really wonderful to see that. So it's a whole new generation of coming up collecting vinyl, right? Not just old geezers like me.
And me. Let's go back to the phone lines. We have Larry. Hi, Larry.
Hello.
Hello, Larry.
Hi. Just my daughter was a big Tom Cochrane fan, and we went to a couple of concerts. And then I happened to be in Regina in a used record store, and I found an album called "Hang On to Your Resistance." I believe it's Tom's first album. And the next time we went to a concert, she brought the album for him to autograph, and he said, "Where did you find this album? I didn't even think there was any of these around anymore." So she still has it. It was just kind of a neat vinyl story there. So.
Yeah, makes for a nice memory.
Yeah, I don't have that record, so it must be rare.
Yeah,
it is that's pretty rare. I think we paid like $3 for it at the record store or something. So it was a long time ago, but anyway, she still has it. So
well,
that's a good show. We'll drop around to your store.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Very nice. And thanks a lot for calling. I wanted to ask you, Peter, do some of these albums really increase in value? Is it like rare anything? It all depends on the condition and all those things?
Condition is important, but there's a lot of quirky things that will raise the value. Like even just the cover art. You might get a guy that's not necessarily a music lover, but he's a car lover. So if there's cars on the cover, or there might be somebody who's just whatever it is that tickles their fancy on the cover, they'll collect that. There was one interesting story where a lady collected anything that had the word gypsy on it. Just because of her dog that passed was named Gypsy. She had sentimental value to her dog. So if a record had gypsy on it, she'd buy it.
Oh, gee.
So there's all kinds of interesting things. You never know what people are looking for and why.
Oh, okay. Well, let's see what these people are looking for and why. We have Roger on the line. Hi, Roger. Oh, wait, I missed Roger. Hang on. I got to just press the right button. Hello, Roger.
Hello. Hi, this is Roger. Dr. My first, I was saying to your secretary, make a little bit of mistake there. I was saying it's a Kiss album, but my first, if I remember correctly, was the Milli Vanilli.
Oh, Kiss album. Got it. Yeah. Right.
No, but the Milli Vanilli was my
Milli
favorite.
Vanilli.
Vanilli.
Wasn't there a bit of scandal around Milli Vanilli?
Sure was,
what was the story there?
There's something about them lip syncing or something.
Yeah, they were lip syncing. They were not the singers.
It was a beautiful album. Beautiful. Oh, I love it so much. And the Kiss album, the Kiss, rock and roll over.
Rock and roll.
Good cover art on that one, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have Mr. Speed, my favorite song.
All right. Well, thanks very much for sharing those stories with us. Good to hear from you.
Okay, I was wondering if you tell me
Oh, I think we're somehow you're looping there. Maybe we wanted to know where your store was.
Well, my store is located at 557 Portage Avenue. That's Portage, Yonge, right next to the CBC
right
building.
next to the CBC. Yeah. Well, let's try and squeeze in a few more calls now. Now, Audrey, are you there? Hello, Audrey.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. I have 3 little stories to do with records. And when I was really young, about maybe grade 2 or 3, I got a record given to me by my mom, and it was called Poor Little Fool by Ricky Nelson. And I would sing to that over and over and over again. And anyway, I also liked another song, White Rabbit by the Jefferson Airplane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I played it over and over and over again in my university room residence. And my roommate was talking to somebody else about the song White Rabbit, and she was telling them, well, you know, Audrey plays that song over and over and over and over and over again. And anyway, I would touch my inner part of heartache.
Aww.
Yeah. And then when I was really young, like about 5 or 6, there was a children's movie children's children's songs with one was the title of Little Miss Polly Polite. And I would march to that, like in the morning on CBC radio.
Oh, yeah.
They had a children's program, and I marched along to it, and I went, Little Miss Polly Polite, doing everything just right. Came when her mother called her, came when her father called her, Little Miss Polly Polite.
Miss Polly Polite. Well, thank you for that performance, and we're just going to say goodbye and dash to get one more caller in if we possibly can. Thank you very much for calling. And let's talk to Ken. Quick, Ken, we've got just a couple minutes left.
Hi there. Well, I guess the first album I got was Neil Young. Everyone knows this is Nowhere. And I stood in line outside of Opus 69 to get it. I can still remember that.
Well, what I'm told is some of the cabinetry in my store is from Opus 69.
Oh, okay.
So perhaps if you come and visit, maybe it'll stir up some more memories.
Yeah, right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Wow.
Great record store.
Yeah, and that was a great record. Thanks very much, Ken.
Thank you.
So your store must just be imbued with every musical vibe, let alone good vibrations and all those other musical things.
Yeah,
right?
It is. I try to cater to everybody. I mean, we're restocking a lot of. I found a whole whack of sealed French language records. So we're gonna have some French language stuff, some interesting international stuff. I have an extensive jazz collection and soul, funk, disco collection. It's just not heavy metal and punk rock records. It's all over the place.
Well, we asked you to bring in a few albums, which you did, but I mean, it's kind of a good thing. We had so many callers that we haven't had much time to chat, but we can do this again.
Well, you know what? I brought my red case here full of records. That meant I meant business today. I was ready to show off some nice pieces.
What's on the top of the pile there?
Well, this one actually, a lot of the story is that The Clash was my first record, but that's the one that turned it over. This one is actually the first record, is a band called The Fix.
Oh, yeah.
Shuttered Rooms. This was actually the first one that really got me going.
Yeah.
And then I bought the Clash record, which changed a lot after that. But this was a key one for me. I brought The Smiths, Queen is Dead.
Okay.
All right. So this one was another real big one for me a long time ago. Of course, I had to bring a copy of The Clash to show it.
Of course you did. Yeah. Play a little beginning there.
I was really big into the new wave and new romanticism back in the mid 80s and early 80s. So I love this psychedelic furs. This one, Talk, 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 was a really important record.
Fantastic cover, actually.
And perhaps some of your listeners remember the song Psycho Killer.
Oh,
Talking Heads.
Talking Heads.
77.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And I shifted gears a little bit later. So sometimes I get these rarities. This is a cult favorite by a band called Suburban Lawns. A lot of people don't know about
Oh,
this.
that is a very weird-looking cover.
This is a weird-looking cover, but it's one of those records. It goes into my personal collection. I'll likely never sell.
Well, you must hear so many stories in your, I mean, I love having this kind of a radio item because it's lovely to hear the stories, and you must hear lots because it's so connected to time and place and memory. It is,
and just for some of your call-in guests, they've been saying they recollect the time and place and where they were. I hear a lot of stories, or just and I've had visitors from Memphis and Minneapolis and Berlin, Germany, and it's universal. We all have these great stories and memories with our records, right?
Well, we'll have to do this again. It's been a real pleasure having you, and I didn't get to any of my 5 million questions.
Yeah,
so
I'm available.
Back.
I'm your neighbor next door.
That's right.
It's short notice. If you need me here, I'll walk over. No problem.
Oh, thank you very much, Peter.
Just to shout out, my store is open from Tuesday to Saturday, 11 to 6:30, and we hope we get some new people coming through the doors and checking it out.
Lovely. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks a lot. My pleasure.
Bye-bye. That's Peter Dooley. He is the owner of Dooley Records on Portage Avenue. And you've been listening to Radio Noon. I've just got a moment to say thank you very much to the people that put the show on the air. Our technician is Marshall Hodgins, our director Wendy Parker, our YouTube live stream person Kevin Nipatebo. Thank you so much for being with us, and I'll see you again on Monday. Take care. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.